Hello, everyone. I'm doing the reading today from Walking on the Wind, Cherokee Teachings for Harmony and Balance by Michael T. Garrett. This is another lesson for virtue, and it is on love. And I chose this book because I love this story. If I pronounce any of the words incorrectly, please hop in the comments and help me out. I'm using the pronunciation guide that's in the book, but again, I'm not sure if I'm saying them correctly. Love is something you and I must have. We must have it because our spirit feeds upon it. We must have it because without it we become weak and faint. Without it our courage fails. Without love we can no longer look confidently at the world. We turn inward, and little by little we destroy ourselves. With it we are creative. With it we march tirelessly. With it, and with it alone, we are able to sacrifice for others. Chief Dan George, Coast Salish. Sun and Moon. And so it goes that long before Elohino, Mother Earth, was old and wise as she is now, there was a young man named Iga Ehinado, Sun, who lived in the east, while in the distant west lived a young woman named Urosano Ehi, Moon. Sun was revered by all as Creator's young apprentice and as a fearless traveler who walked the sky searching for a magic lake that was said to have healing powers. It was said that when Creator shaped the world, upon standing back and seeing the beauty that had been made, the Great One was so moved that teardrops began to fall from the Creator's eyes, forming the magic lake on that very spot. This was a sacred place of healing and comfort for those in need, and it allowed one's spirit to see clearly things as they truly are. It was said that to seek out the waters of this magic lake and look upon your own reflection in its rippling surface was to receive your vision and come into the medicine. As a young man, Sun intended to become a medicine man who would offer himself as a helper to those in need. He knew that in order to be part of the medicine, he had to walk in harmony and balance, moving higher than Uwahali, eagle, and lower than Ujea, worm. But Sun, who was still young and curious, often wandered the sky, appreciating all the beautiful things that were to see and sometimes forgetting his purpose. He was happy to be alive. During these days he would walk in the wind, watching all the lush greenery fall away beneath his footsteps as he moved, looking for the magic lake and the power held in its deep waters. There was such beauty in this journey of life and so much to learn. During the nights, he spent time in his medicine lodge sweating and praying, singing and listening to the silence of the darkness to know what the Great One intended for him. Moon was a beautiful young woman who seemed to glow in the dim light of the west and became brighter as the darkness grew. She was respected by all of her relations for her kindness, compassion, and gentleness. She moved calmly and peacefully, always offering her comforting presence to those around her, though she was desperately shy. Moon had a great love for Sun and secretly wished to be with him. She admired him from a distance, but retreated whenever he was around. He was like no other man she had ever known, and his presence made her tingle all over. Sun never paid much attention to her, though. He always seemed to be too busy searching for his medicine to notice the quiet, unassuming young woman who loved him so. Sun had a lover who used to come to him every month in the dark time of the moon. Since this darkness was supposed to be a sacred time for prayer and reflection, they used to meet in secrecy. She would come to him during the night and leave before daybreak. Together they would spend much time talking, being close and sharing beneath the starry sky and velvet darkness. But Sun could never see his lover's face in the darkness, and she would not tell him what her name was. Soon he had fallen deeply in love with this silent woman who made him feel like no one else could. He always got very excited each month when he knew they would be together, and he longed for her painfully when they were apart. Eventually, Sun's curiosity about his lover's identity grew, and he devised a plan to find out who she was. So came the time once again when the sun sat quietly in prayer and in the sacred darkness just beyond the horizon of the sky. and his secret lover came to him, gently, excitedly, as she always did. As they were sitting together, Sun reached into the ashes of the fire pit and rubbed some of the blackness on her face without her knowing it, saying, "Your face is cold. You must have suffered from the wind." Time passed quickly that evening, and before long she slipped quietly away again, as she always did. The next night, when moon came up in the sky, Sun was watching intently from his hiding place behind the horizon. He peeked through the arch of a shimmering rainbow as it faded, searching the sky for some sign of the one who had been coming to him. Suddenly he noticed that Moon's face was covered with ashy spots, and he realized that it was Moon who was his secret lover. As he jumped out from his hiding place, Moon knew that she had been found out. Embarrassed, Moon went as far away from Sun as she could and stayed on the other side of the sky all night. Ever since that time, Moon always tries to stay a long way behind Sun, and when she sometimes has to come close to him, she makes herself as thin as a ribbon so that she can hardly be seen. And yet, out of her deep love for Sun and in remembrance of the time when he touched her for an instant, she has never wiped away the ashy spots that he left upon her glowing face. If you look close enough, you can still see them. And some people say that the stars are glittering teardrops that trickle down Moon's face and fall into the sky when she is missing Sun. Each day, high in the sky, Sun still searches for his vision and for his lover, Moon, who will always seem to be just on the other side of the horizon. And so it is good. When we talk about love, love requires us to embody the other virtues. It requires us to be humble, to show respect, to be willing to sacrifice and compromise, to be honorable, to be honest, understanding, trusting, and trustworthy. Love is like a holiday where you give and receive gifts. When we give, we experience joy and excitement. And when we receive, we experience gratitude and humility. And that is love. And I hope all of you find love this week, whether it is in nature, with your family, with your friends, and especially with yourself. Have a wonderful day. And thank you for another story time with Auntie A.